Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Look, I'm saying glad. I mean, glad to be back with you guys. No, I am feeling bad. I'm not going to lie. I am feeling bad, but I'm excited to be here on a beautiful Monday evening back in Chicago with another wonderful edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. And tonight's show is all about Ask the Doctors. Tonight, we have two amazing doctors who are joining us. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month, and both of these doctors are very passionate about people checking in on their health, doing the right things, and being totally informed when it comes to diabetes awareness. And so our very special guest co-host tonight is no stranger to the show. This is his first time sitting in the co-host chair, and I'm actually kind of nervous because, see, I think doctors only know how to talk doctor talk. And so I'm thinking that tonight, he's hip and he's cool, and I actually know him, and he's a great dad and husband and fraternity man and all of that. So we'll see if there's another side to him. Most doctors only talk penicillin, shots, and how long you been feeling like that. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Dr.
Take two and call me in the morning.
You said take two and call me in the morning, right? Clinical Director, Diabetes Care and Education Specialist, and he is the founder of Vision Salon Eye Care Associates located in Blue Island, Illinois, and the business is now celebrating its 30-year anniversary. Give it up for our co-host, Dr. Ansel T. Johnson. What up, what up, what up? Hey, Doc.
Hey, you got me, Art, because I came straight from the office. I was so afraid I'd be running late.
I know.
Clothes. I'm still in my work garb, so
that's okay. That's all right. We like that. It makes you look more official. Like if anybody questioned my show, like, oh, he just rented these people to be on the show, you actually are in your scrubs, and so that's all right, Doc. We're glad to have you here. Welcome as the co-host this evening. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic and wonderful, and just blessed to be here this evening. I'm so excited. I'm a Chat Daddy co-host virgin, so take it easy on.
Oh, I will. That ain't the first time I heard that line, but okay, I will. I think you'll do a great job. It was quite an honor and a pleasure when you agreed to do this with me. And I said, well, listen, my first show back, I would love for you and our guest tonight to both be our guests and talk to us because, look, Doc, we are just days away from the Thanksgiving feastathon, and November being National Diabetes Awareness Month. We got to talk to these people about, even though we're doing these small limited gatherings or one person things like, Doc, I love seafood dressing, and I'm going to make myself some seafood dressing. But guess what? I'll sit there and eat the whole damn pan. I can't have nobody over. I'm in quarantine, Doc. So, that's what we've got to look at.
Smaller pans. You're going to have to get some
right.
Yes, that's what that's got to be. So, but you'll make it. I mean, you are a master chef, so you can hand half the pan to me out the window.
Okay,
drive by. So
very good.
Big.
Okay, very good. Well, Doc, do you and the family have any particular plans this holiday season? I know it's going to have to be a scaled back celebration due to COVID-19. And so how are you and your family going to handle this Thanksgiving dinner celebration?
Very carefully. My mom is 90. She'll be 91 next month.
Wow.
I hate to do it, but we're going to have to drop off some food to her. I just don't want it to take a chance. But we have taught her how to FaceTime on her phone.
Oh,
so we got phone,
okay.
So we're going to FaceTime a little bit. Or I might go over there and FaceTime with her. But, because when we go over there, we all mask up. So,
okay. Good.
So that's the main thing. And then we'll just be at home. My son lives on the north side. He may or may not come out. He's pretty cool sheltering in place because he works at his home. So I think he'll be good either way, but I might be able to cajole him to come out for a couple of days. Then my daughter lives with us, and so we'll just keep it small.
Okay.
Oh, my wife's here, so she's cooking. So that's all I can ask for. My wife's cooking. Hey, I'm good.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, I think most families are forced to do much smaller celebrations. We do want to encourage everyone to please Stay safe, do the right things. Don't have these big, large gatherings in your home for Thanksgiving. I know we all come from those families. You know, a Black family and Thanksgiving mean greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, roast ham, all of that. But, you know, just be very careful. And, you know, Doc, I'm actually on quarantine. As you know, I just got back from the vacation of life, and it was part vacation, but it also was part work trip for an upcoming story I want to do here on the show. But, you know, I understand about, you know, having to be safe and secure and doing the right things in this pandemic.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was going to get on you about your little slurred speech when you came on. That's, you know, post vacation, whatever. I'm trying not to use a medical term, but
Yeah.
slur.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll take you a while to get the words out, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You coming back with a big smile on your face, so you obviously enjoyed yourself.
Well,
And
I did. Quite a few people kind of was like, wait a minute, now how Chat Daddy, you know, okay, so here's the deal. This coming Wednesday night, we're gonna do an entire show on traveling during the pandemic. As many of you all know, I'm a former flight attendant and had been in the travel industry for many years. And I just was really curious to see what has happened to our travel industry as a result of this global pandemic. And quite a few things have changed, but I took care of all the precautionaries to be able to take this trip. I went to go see all my doctors. I was tested. I was quarantined. And then I actually spent 14 days on the trip to make sure nothing has happened. And then I will officially be in the house for 14 days in testing, you know, to make sure nothing is a result of the trip. But everything that I did was of the utmost safety. And actually, it was really a beautiful experience. It really was.
so so you were suffering in place or just sheltering in comfort?
I was sheltering in place. I wasn't suffering, not at all, not at all. No, it was 80 degrees, lots of palm trees, lots of cocktails, and a lot of sanitizer. That's all, and mask. And you know, I have masks to match every outfit. You know, I do. So I even have the, you know, real Chat Daddy show mask now. So you know, see, look, Doc,
The real. Ooh,
see.
where
It's
can
a
I
little
get
slow. I had to speed it up, but see, the real Chat
real?
Daddy show. Yes. So, you know, I stayed masked up, but it was a great time. And I do appreciate
That's
all
pretty
of my
good.
travel companions. We did a
Mine
road trip.
doesn't move.
Oh, now what is yours? Oh, I like yours. I
It don't
do.
move.
I really do. Huh?
Salon. It doesn't move
Oh, and
like
yours
yours.
actually. Well, no, you know, mine's is real fancy, you know. So we'll talk about that. But no, it was a wonderful trip. And on Wednesday night, I'm going to talk about the travel industry and how much of an effect this pandemic has had on the travel industry. But every precaution was taken, and I will be quarantining. So that's how that works. All right, Doc.
Yeah, well, tell me this: how, you know, how was the airports? How was getting to the airports and, you know, coming and going? Was that, you know, because
So first of all, I took flights that were off hours. I did not take the first thing smoking. I didn't take the last thing leaving out. My outbound flight was really wonderful. The middle seat was available. It was not a full flight. My flight home today, they actually told people to please spread out because we didn't have enough people on the plane to balance the weight on the plane. So they even said to people like, listen, you can have your own row and just chill out, but we need people to kind of move towards the back of the plane because we all got on and everybody kind of sat down like on a school bus. You know, everybody, you know, spaced out and sat down, but no, it was no issues, no problem getting through security. Airports were relatively empty. People were not sitting on each other. And I'm gonna be honest with you, being a former flight attendant, the air quality on the airplane was exceptional. I used to could smell jet fuel. I used to could smell whatever people were eating. If somebody changed a baby's diaper, there was no odors whatsoever on the airplane. It was very clean air. So no, it worked out really great.
That's good. That's good to
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Not that we're encouraging people to all pile on a plane and go visit grandma. right?
No, we're not. No, I did not. Everybody who I hung out with had been COVID approved. So yes. Doc, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about this evening. You're going to present to us the fact that November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Let's talk about what you're going to talk about, and then let's introduce our very special guest who's going to join us later too.
Okay. Well, in our office, November is a real special kind of month because we are Diabetes Awareness Month, right? So we are our eye care facility takes it very seriously. One reason, and I'm pretty transparent with most people about my own health struggles. I'm living with type 2 diabetes myself. So, when I talk to my patients about diabetes, I know those little struggles. Okay, what should I eat tonight? Should I meal prep? Or I know I need to work out, but I don't feel like it. I fell off the wagon because I haven't worked out in a week. What should I do? And so I understand all of that and try to help people through those processes. So as an eye care facility, we are really the first eye care facility in the state of Illinois and only, and one or two in the country that's a nationally certified diabetes education program. So what does that mean? It means we are up to snuff. We are very highly qualified. We have an instructor. I teach some of the classes. I have a registered pharmacist that teaches some of the classes, and I have a registered dietitian that is certified that teaches classes. So we do this as a team. We can do it in person and we can do it virtual. So
Wow.
that's a little extra step that we have in addition to the eye care that we provide, because we are about preventing and reducing vision impairment and blindness from diabetes, which is the leading cause of adult blindness in this country. And with
Yes.
Black folks, it is the leading cause of blindness. So it's something that you want to take very seriously. And when you mention to people that they are living with diabetes and they need to take care of, the first thing people fear is loss of sight. And we like to put people at ease because we're going to watch that for you. But you got to work with us. You have to work with your physician, and it is a team effort. And yeah.
My maternal grandfather lost his eyesight and was an amputee due to diabetes. So I know the ravishing, effects that diabetes can have on the body. And this was many years ago. I thank God for modern medicine and, technology, but he did lose his eyesight and was an amputee as a result of diabetes.
Yeah, we like to prevent that sort of thing. So, and last time I was on your show, Art, we talked about COVID-19 and the devastating effects and the comorbidity, basically the other health problems that people have that make it worse when you are diagnosed with COVID-19. And diabetes is one of those things that if you have COVID and you have diabetes, it can be much, much tougher on you.
Wow.
And so by being more on the preventative side, by making sure that your blood sugar levels are level or controlled, is huge. So even if you have diabetes or living with diabetes and you are diagnosed with having COVID or your tests come back positive, if you are handling your diabetes well, chances are you can move through that better. Now, we all know that people that have no high blood pressure, no diabetes, have passed away or have had a very difficult time with COVID-19. So unfortunately, the nature of the disease is kind of like that. So what makes having diabetes make your COVID be worse? What having high blood pressure makes COVID be worse? Well, what we found is that even though you breathe it into the air, it's not, yes, you can touch it and don't touch your face. Once it gets into your nasal passages and into your lungs, it affects the small blood vessels in the body, in the lungs. So people have these issues with breathing because it's affecting the very delicate blood vessels in the lungs. And guess what? Diabetes affects the small, delicate blood vessels throughout the body. Hypertension, high blood pressure affects the small, delicate blood vessels throughout the body, in the kidneys and liver and in the stomach, in the eyes. So because all of these things affect the small, delicate blood vessels throughout the body, that is one of the major contributing factors to why we as a people kind of have a harder time with COVID, because
Wow.
levels of hypertension are greater, levels of living with diabetes is greater, and
Okay.
so on. So, but if we
Okay.
can control these things, which they are controllable,
And we'll talk about that later on, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. All right. Also,
on our Chat Daddy show, so I brought my beverage.
that's all right. That's what you're supposed to do, Doc. You're supposed to bring that beverage with you. Okay, so also joining us tonight on the show is Dr. James Thompson. He is a allergist and asthma specialist, and he's going to talk to us tonight about the benefits of a plant-based diet. A lot of people are wanting to go plant-based. Even the pizza restaurants now are offering plant-based sausages. And so we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the plant-based diet and some of the information that he wants us to know about the importance of changing our eating habits. I mean, everybody has got to do this more scaled back Thanksgiving meal. So I don't know if the chitterlings and the ham and the roast and the turkey and all of that is necessary this Thanksgiving. What do you think, Doc? You think all of that is necessary for us?
Short answer, no.
Okay.
More complex answer is how we prepare the food.
Yes.
And finding good alternatives. So and that's the first thing when you get that diagnosis that you're living with diabetes, they're like, oh, I can't do this, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. And we really strongly urge, don't get caught up in what you can't do, because you'd be surprised that you can do a lot of different things.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
Things in moderation, and it's also baby steps.
That's right.
People hear the diagnosis, they get excited, they get nervous, and they start working out 6-7 days a week for an hour and a half. They just go on they fast, they go on these extreme diets. I'm going keto, and a month later,
right, they look like they've been eating Doritos. They were on keto, but it looked like they've been sitting around eating them but Doritos. That's how that works,
So that's one thing Dr. Thompson will talk about. How do we kind of move through that process gradually? We talk about those things in our classes, and sometimes people just need a little support, encouragement, and accountability.
Very good. Very good.
Accountability. So it is a family. It is a team approach. And
well, Doctor,
yeah.
Before we go on to talk about today's COVID numbers, I really do want us to talk about the new foundation that you've created, healthylivingwithavision.org, a wonderful organization. I'm just so honored to serve as one of your board members, and just to introduce this organization to everyone, in honor of November being Diabetes Awareness Month, as well as, the nibbling season is here. Let's talk about the impact that this organization will be making on mankind.
Oh, wow. We've already been involved and engaged with really just giving out information, and we are forming a number of alliances. One alliance is the South-Southwest collaborative effort, and we participated in a workshop with area coaches, college and high school coaches, for voting registration and also for COVID-19 awareness. And so we're about information. We are one of our missions is to provide diabetes education to those individuals that cannot afford it or they don't have insurance coverage for it, because it is such a huge need. One of the reasons we did this was because I see a lot of patients that were referred for their eyes to be checked when you're been diagnosed with diabetes. But I'll ask, have you ever seen a diabetes educator? Have you ever seen a nutritionist? And either the answer was no, or it might have been years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remind people the knowledge changes all the time. The medications that they have now are new, are phenomenal. They have these continuous glucose meters that you just a little patch on your skin, and you don't have to prick your finger anymore, because people hate that about checking their blood sugar. And they can just hold up a smartphone or some other device, and it gives a continuous reading of your blood sugar. So if you fall off the wagon eating something and you shouldn't have eaten, you get a signal, and you can look at it. So
dang on smartphones.
That's some tremendous technology. And so we want to be able to bring those technologies to the forefront of our community and have a more greater utilization of these instrumentations. And so we have a number of different projects in the fire. Another thing we talk about a lot of times is, and people say, come to my office again, we've been around in South Suburbs in Blue Island for 30 years. I've never seen a black eye doctor. I've never had a black eye doctor. And we are probably one of 4 or 5 black independent offices, African American owned, in the Chicago area.
Wow.
30 years ago, when I started there, about 25 or 26. So we are also about trying to regenerate that pipeline. And it's not optometrists, but your internal medicine physician, your subspecialist, your ophthalmologist, your retina specialist, your corneal specialist, your glaucoma specialist. There's not many. There's only a handful. Your neurologist, your endocrinologist who are specialized in diabetes, your allergist like Dr. Thompson on. There, you can go your whole life and not see an African American or someone that looks like you in these subspecialties. So we need to get to our young people and those that have the aptitude and get them engaged in the STEM careers, but also in healthcare, because 10, 20 years from now, we're not going to see too many black doctors.
Well, now, doctor, I do have a question for you. What made you go into the field of eyes? Were you like gazing into your girlfriend's eyes, years ago? Like, look, I can see some stuff. So what made you become an eye doctor?
Wow. Well, I knew I wanted to be a doctor probably my junior year in high school because I was good at science and math and I like people. So I put those things together. It's like, okay, doctor sounds pretty good. Doctors probably top 3% income earners. I'm not going to say I'm in that field, but it's a pretty comfortable. You can pay your bills and hopefully put your kids through college.
Nice.
So I had a friend of mine, a fraternity brother, who's actually my associate doctor now, Dr. Leonidas Johnson. And he said he was pre-optometry. I was like, what is that? I didn't think I wanted to be internal medicine because you get these emergency calls all hours of the night, or OB-GYN, again, calls. So I was thinking about work-life balance. So what intrigued me about optometry was the eye is a very complex organ, right? And then also you get a sense of satisfaction. Every day is different, and every day you help somebody see better. You make an immediate impact on their quality of life. The other thing, we're a primary healthcare professional, so we're not just an eyeglass contact lens place, but we connect your overall health with your eye care. So, there are things, sometimes we're the first people to detect if someone has diabetes. Sometimes we're the first ones to detect if someone may have autoimmune disease like sarcoidosis or lupus, because dry eyes can be an initial symptom for that. So, and we check blood pressures in our office. So people say, well, my eye doctor never checked my blood pressure. Well, you'd be surprised the people we send straight to their primary care physician and sometimes to the emergency room because their blood pressures are so elevated and they weren't aware of it. So we see changes in the back of the eye as a result of that. So we're on the front lines of primary health care. The real hooker was that at the time, there were only about 400 African-American optometrists out of 25,000. Now there's probably still less than 2% African-American. I'm not talking about minority. I'm not talking about people of color. I'm talking about black optometrists. Less than 2% out of the 37,000 that there are in this country.
Wow.
So
we're honored.
Yeah.
We're honored. We really are that, you have chosen the field that you've gone into, that you've started this amazing foundation, Healthy Living with a Vision. When you guys get a moment, it's across the bottom of the screen, healthylivingwithavision.org. If you feel so behooved to make a donation, please do so. There'll be a lot of wonderful programming that will be available for you, people who sign on to the website and go to the website to learn more about just how to make sure you have, not make sure that you have, but make sure that you are doing the best things to help you have a better life. That makes sense, right, Doc?
Correct. And we're always putting out information on our website, on our Facebook page and we have
Yes.
Instagram page. One of the things that we're putting out for Thanksgiving is a vegan recipe Thanksgiving recipe book.
What?
So if it's not on the website now, we're trying to get it up for this weekend. It will be.
Okay.
So it should be on the website now. If it's not on that website, it's on my office website. So it's and it's really nice. It has a lot of nice dishes. So those people that, well, I don't want to go totally vegan, pick out a few dishes. You'd be surprised. And it's a really, really nice booklet, actually.
Well, Doc, I'm trying to create plant-based chitterlings. I think I can do it. I'm trying to create plant-based chitterlings. I'm trying to take a Southern tradition of those who love and adore chitterlings with hot sauce spaghetti and coleslaw and garlic bread. But I'm now trying to, I had to give the whole meal there, but now I'm trying to create plant-based chitterlings. And I want to know, would you invest in my business? That's my question to you.
If Dr. Thompson gives his thumbs up approval, then I will consider it.
Okay. Yeah.
You're the expert on that one.
Okay, well, at least you didn't tell me no off the bat. At least this is not like Shark Tank. You know what I'm saying? Shark Tank, oh, hell no, I'm out. Okay, so you didn't say no. All right. Well, I want to give you guys the latest Illinois COVID-19 update. Illinois public health officials announced today, Monday, 8,322 new confirmed cases of probable COVID-19. Unfortunately, we have 47 additional fatalities, bringing the total of known infected cases in Illinois now to 664,620, with a statewide confirmed death toll of 11,552, and that's been since the start of this pandemic. This was the lowest number of cases reported since the 8,902 cases that were reported November 18th, and this is only the second time it's been under 10,000 cases since November 5th. Now, here's the deal, Doc. I left Chicago November 10th, and it was already off the chain. I really had not paid much attention to the Chicago news, but I was paying more attention to Southern Florida's news. And actually, their COVID number cases are lower than ours. Their percentage rates are lower than ours. And they're actually breaking the cases down per county and are treating each county differently down there. And so I feel so sorry for us here in Chicago because, they're doing great business with, restaurants being open because you're dining outside, more air and space. I even went to a venue that was outdoors and it was plenty of spacing and they were following all the protocol. I just feel so bad for our restaurant and club owners here in the state of Illinois,
because it's with the temperatures dropping. And it's funny, I saw this post. You can't eat inside, so people are putting out these tents, so you're eating inside outside,
right?
So it's still an enclosed period. And the weather, you don't feel comfortable eating when it's 30-40 degrees outside. So no. I really feel the restaurant industry. One of the things that I think, and I'm not any kind of guru, but since COVID-19 is an airborne, I think, well, maybe we should have looked at helping restaurants help their ventilation system. So maybe if we could figure out some way to enhance ventilation system, because in our office, we actually, in addition to our regular heating and air conditioning system, we put medical grade air filters, air scrubbers within our office, throughout our office, to help circulate that air, because it's not only being in close proximity with somebody, but it's how long you're in proximity with someone that can affect your risk for developing COVID. So, and that would be any kind of business. I think, and I wouldn't be surprised after this peaks out that we're going to see more requirements for air quality indoors, increased air circulation indoors.
Yes.
And I think that can help. And I think even after the vaccine is available, because by God's grace, this will be over this time next year.
Now, Doc, that is a question that I have for you. I think you guys are like sworn to secrecy that when it comes to things like vaccinations and modern science and medicine, that you guys kind of all say the same thing, like, well, yes, but would you be the first to take the vaccination? And here's the deal. I know you're a frontline worker, and I thank you for your service. We all do. But please, would you be the first?
Short answer, no.
Okay. I'm surprised on that.
Second answer, I'm Black, so I do remember Tuskegee. Third answer, I will probably not have a choice because I am a frontline worker. The things that I am hearing in terms of vaccinations, though, is that they are working. The early studies, which I have not read. Again, I'm not an authority on vaccinations, but I'm required to get flu vaccines every year.
Mm-hmm.
Would I personally choose to do that? Probably not, but I'm required, so I do that. And again, we will probably be required to be frontline to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So the only, like I said, the early studies seem to show that it's working, but the problem that I have, no one can tell you how long that immunity is going to last. Is it going to be 6 months? Well, they've only been testing the vaccine for 6 months. Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 3 years? Are we going to need booster shots? And so all of these questions, and what are the side effects? Are there side effects at 6 months, a year, 10 years, 5 years? We don't know that. The fastest I've heard a vaccine had been approved prior to this was 4 years.
Wow.
So getting approved for something in less than a year, 6 to 9 months, versus 4 years, that's a huge. And I think we need to, and I get it, because as a society, we need to get functional again. Mm-hmm. But that leadership comes from the top. When you have people on their deathbeds still thinking that COVID is overblown, that COVID is, a hoax, and these people are on their deathbeds in the hospital. I had someone in my neighborhood actually didn't look like me, but he felt that it was overblown, and I said, well, do you have anybody in your family that works in healthcare? He didn't. Anyone that works in a hospital will tell him otherwise, because once these hospital beds get filled and you have carts of people in the hallway, this is America. This is not a third world country, but that's what our healthcare is turning into. So, and it's amazing the mindset of people that just, they want to believe that certain leadership is telling the truth, but they're being led off a cliff. And sometimes you just got to read and do your homework on your own.
True. Very true. Well, that segues into my next comment I wanted to talk to you about. As of this evening, it was announced that the General Service Administration has informed President-elect Joe Biden that the Trump administration is ready to begin the formal transition process. And this was according to a letter from the administrator, Emily Murphy, and this was obtained by CNN this evening. So Trump still has not conceded that he lost the race, but at least a step is in the process of now President-elect Joe Biden being able to get in and be briefed and know what's going on. What do you think about all this, Doc? The last time you and I talked, we were right around Election Day. Everybody was on pins and needles. And now I just have a feeling Trump is not going to leave that White House as graceful as we would hope he would.
Do I care if he concedes? No. Just turning the keys and butt on out of there. That's all. And if you don't want to hand over the keys, now some folks do. They keep the keys. We're going to change the locks anyway. We're going to sanitize the White House anyway. All the people that got COVID in the White House.
Yes.
We're going to sanitize after your behind's out of there.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes.
So, if there's rumors that he might not even show up for the inauguration. I don't
know. Who gives a damn? Right. Who gives a right? Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, drop the mic. See you. Wouldn't
But,
want to be.
but now,
But,
Doc, let's be real honest here. You and I both are black men who have seen a lot of things in this world, have met a lot of influential people, have done some great things. Never in our lifetime have we seen such shenanigans and foolery from someone that holds the highest office in the United States, a global leader. I mean, what do you think about that?
I remember I have sisters-in-laws that live overseas and have lived overseas for a long time. And basically, people outside the U.S. said, "What the heck is wrong with y'all?" They were saying that with Barack Obama. Why don't you all like him? Why you all mistreat him so much? And so it's even that at a higher level now. The disrespect. It used to be Republicans and Democrats, and I claim no allegiance to any party. But Republicans and Democrats, with their differences, could work things out. And it's just gotten worse and worse. They would never, for instance, let the country run out of the money and the country shut down.
Right.
That would even, 10 years ago, 20 years ago,
unheard of.
Yeah. And now we let the country shut down for a couple of weeks, for a month. And it's like, how much, the American people, we have to hold our politicians accountable. And almost every vote is all Democrats, all Republicans. Almost every major vote, and there is no crossover. And that's just really ridiculous. That is not the nature that politics should be. And things that you don't believe in, and your congressman be a Republican or Democrat, they're just locking down and towing party lines, and that is just wrong. That's just wrong. And that's not how you make a country work. I believe in term limits. So, unfortunately, our politicians' main job is to stay in office.
As long as they can. They want to die in office.
Yeah. And so that's why we know sometimes our leadership at the time might not be the brightest, because he has his core, but he wasn't acting like, he really thought that he was going to stay in office. But that's how it is. And the other thing that's really, really disturbing is that when you look at that political map and you see 47% of people in this country voted for the current president.
Yes, they did.
The country, and it's like that's something that makes you go, And we saying Black Lives Matter, and yet for some reason people think that that's offensive. It's like, why? You say, say you're in the breast cancer, right? You don't think breast cancer should be, you think that should be fought. Yeah, okay, well, what's wrong with lung cancer? So that means you're against lung cancer if you fight for breast cancer? We know that all lives matter. It's just basically code words for, we don't want to give you all the rights. We don't want to respect you all as equal human beings. We don't,
right.
That happens every day, even in our training. Sometimes,
Yeah.
Other folks' ice is colder. Sometimes in our own people's hands.
Oh boy, interesting.
All right, that's not on my phone. That's your neighborhood.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I'm back in Chicago. I'm back here now, so ain't no telling what you guys are gonna hear. Helicopters, ambulance, all that. Yeah, we do all that right here. Welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I'm back after a hiatus. This is the first show in about 2 weeks. Glad to be here with you guys on a beautiful Monday evening. It is the Monday before Thanksgiving 2020, a Thanksgiving unlike any other. And tonight, my very special guest co-host is Dr. Ansel T. Johnson, Clinical Director, Diabetes Care and Educational Specialist. He is the proprietor of Vision Salon Eye Care Associates. Vision Salon Eye Care Associates, located in Blue Island, Illinois. He's been in business for over 30 years now. He just had a wonderful re-grand opening ribbon cutting celebration to celebrate that milestone. He is also the creator and executive director of the Healthy Living with a Vision Foundation, an organization that is here to inform people on all of the various things you can do to live a much healthier life. And it all is through your eyes. Believe it or not, your eyes are the window to the world. But then for an eye doctor, it's also the window to your soul. Am I right about that, Doc? You can see a lot of stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, all the time. And let me kind of correct you on our foundation. Basically, the main mission of our foundation is to battle and equalize the health inequities in the African American and Hispanic communities. So we're about equalizing those health inequities. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm excited about this new journey, new venture that we're doing to really change lives and to change our neighborhoods, change our community, and to start health. You know. It really does, and not just pay lip service to it.
Yes. Well, Dr. Ansel Johnson, because we are in the midst of COVID season, and this is a reality news health information show, we do want to remind everyone, Doctor, do you have your mask so we can do our mask demo on the show? We want to remind everyone to please wear your mask. It is important that you wear your mask. Oh, I got mine upside down. Okay, see? The Real Chat Daddy Show. So make sure you guys wear a mask, cover your nose and your mouth. Make sure you do that. Pull it nice and tight where you're able to breathe. I have the Real Chat Daddy Show mask, which is an electronic mask. I see Dr. Ansel Johnson with a mask advertising his business. Also, I have another great mask tonight that says wearing is caring. Remember, wearing is caring. So when you wear your mask, that means you care about other people. So please make sure you wear your mask. And then last but not least, I got this as a birthday gift, Doc.
Icon.
Icon mask. Yes, I got the Icon mask. We also want to remind everyone to please wash your hands as often as possible. Soap and water is the best thing to use. Keep the germs and bacteria down. If you don't have soap and water, hand sanitizer works best. Just get you some hand sanitizer, put it in your hands, clean those hands real good. Make sure you get under your nails. Keep those hands nice and clean. I went through so much hand sanitizer. Oh my God. I had to buy more hand sanitizer on my trip. Okay. Another thing we want to remind you guys to do is please social distance. Stay back, stay away from people. 6 feet is what's recommended. Stay back more if you need to. And another thing, if you're not feeling well, keep your ass at home. Bottom line. Keep your ass at home. The doc ain't going to tell you like that. I am. Keep your ass at home if you're not feeling well. Any other advice you want to give them, doctor, about wearing their mask?
Wear the mask. Also, well, one of the things we run into is masks often fog your glasses up, right?
So doc, please. That's why I'm thinking about LASIK now, because I can't keep wearing the glasses in the mask. It's killing me.
Sometimes they have a little piece of metal. You just got to press it against the nose to keep the mask from fogging up. Okay. One other thing that I have, this little device I found on Amazon.
Oh, I had heard about it. Kind of like a little cup you put on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a couple in the airport today that kind of had on some things that had a really sexual connotation to it. We kind of was like, are these people sitting there with jock straps on? That's what it looked like. But it was a device that kind of sat up off their nose. I agree. Yeah,
because I kind of under your mask, so it helps you breathe, and it reduces the
And you got it off of Amazon.
Yes, sir. And they're not that expensive.
Send me the link later because I really do. Because otherwise, it's killing me to wear these masks and my eyeglasses as well, and my sunglasses. You
And
know.
it spaces the
Yep.
mask off your mouth.
Yep.
So it does. It's a great great aid. You know.
And is it comfortable to wear?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes
Okay.
my mask will rise up a little bit, and I just replace it. But
Well, your mask got excited. Your mask got excited, so that's what happens. All right.
I thought I had it right here. So
well, that's all right. Keep looking. So we want to remind everyone, Everyone, we want to remind you that November is Diabetes Awareness Month. What you showing us now?
No, nothing.
Okay. I'm like, wait, where are we going now? Okay.
Oh, and I do have another little decorative mask with eyeglasses on it.
Oh, those are cool. That's really, really cool. That's very cool. Yes, sir. And then let me see. I got another mask as well, too. One of my favorites. Yeah. It matches my outfit. Like this.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of
nice. Mm-hmm. Matches my outfit. I have to coordinate. John Weatherspoon. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, Dr. Johnson is here with us tonight to talk about diabetes awareness. Coming up later on in the show, we have another doctor, Dr. James Thompson. He's a allergist and asthma specialist. He's going to talk to us about the benefits of a plant-based diet. And so I'm looking forward to that. So now, Doc, I want to go into your points before we run out of time to be able to talk to our next doctor. Let's talk about some of the eye signs of diabetes. And I notice you have blurred vision on here. Should I be concerned if my vision is starting to blur a little bit? I thought that was just with age. I thought that was kind of something that came along with your 50s.
Now, you should always be concerned if you see a change in your vision. And what's sneaky for a lot of people is that change can occur very gradually. So you want to pay attention. And if your vision becomes blurred or you notice a change, then you need to make sure you get your eyes checked. I mean, we just had a couple of people today. It's been 4 or 5. One lady in her early 40s hadn't been seen an eye doctor in 20 years. So that's, again, because we connect the vision with everything else. So there are a lot of different causes of blurred vision. But if you know that you have been told, well, let's take this for instance. Your doctor told you years ago, well, to watch your sugar, watch your diet, you may be a little borderline. Take it very seriously. Because what happens, we get a false sense of security, thinking, oh, he just told me borderline, at least I don't have it, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, studies show that if you have borderline diabetes, if you don't do anything, don't change nothing, you will most likely develop diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that little warning, just that little warning. It's like, your sugar's a little high or your blood work's a little borderline. Take it very seriously, because if you address it then, you can either avoid living with diabetes or postpone it for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of times our physicians don't put as much emphasis on that because they're worried about the people about to get amputation, losing their eyesight, or their blood sugar levels are just totally under control, and they're trying to put a handle on those folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, blurred vision is one. That's usually the first reason. Another one is glare, problem seeing at night, because when you have fluctuating blood sugar levels, you can tend to get cataracts more rapidly. And those early cataracts, even though it's not totally fuzzy, can cause glare and problem seeing at night. So take that very seriously.
Well, now, Doc, I did have a question to ask you. In the South, in Florida, at night, them roads are dark, dude. You could be on a major street and they may have 3 street lights for a mile. Mm-hmm. And so, should a person really be concerned if they're having trouble seeing in the dark now?
Yeah, because sometimes a decrease or problems seeing at night, when it might not have been the case a few years ago, can be an early sign for what we call macular degeneration. And technical sounding term, but all that means is that the tissues back behind the eyes are losing their effectiveness in terms of capturing that light at night. So macular degeneration or decrease in the health of the tissue in the back of the eyes that receive the light, problems with night vision can be the first sign. And it can, if we used to not have any tools to kind of deal with that. It's like, well, we're just going to watch you go blind, lose your sight slowly over time. Now there are nutritional supplements and lifestyle changes that we can address early to help those conditions before they become more serious. So, so night problems at night, you can take it seriously. And we actually have some technology to test your night vision and see if that's an issue. The other thing that happens a lot is dryness. You can get inflammation in the body due to living with diabetes. So it affects the delicate tear glands around the eyes, the upper eyelid, lower eyelid. So you can get dry, grittiness to your vision. A lot of people have dry eyes, still don't even feel it. So we only detect it in an exam. And then those can be addressed by any number of methods. And a lot of times doctors will kind of blow it off and just say, oh, just go to the drugstore and get some artificial tears. So a lot of people, they just go and see this big wall of eye drops and grab whatever might be on sale. That's not the best way to address it, because just because they're over the counter does not mean that they are totally harmless to your eyes. In most cases, many of them are not that beneficial. Another thing to worry about with diabetes, people can actually get double vision or more strain to their vision. So even if they're not seeing double, your eye muscle coordination can be off a little bit, because again, high blood sugar levels can affect how the eye muscles coordinate and work with one another. So those are a lot of the main reasons that we see that people may come in. And then a lot of times we ask, okay, are you having to go to the bathroom a lot? Are you real thirsty or dry in the mouth? Because those are other symptoms. And a lot of people say, well, I drink a lot of water anyway. Okay. And so that's not always necessarily a reason to have to go to the bathroom a lot, though. So we do check blood sugars in the office. So we suspect, I'll prick your finger and see what's going on.
Okay. All right. Remind you guys, he said he'll prick your finger to see what's going on. Watch out now for them finger pricks. See that? All right, Doc. So what's another thing? Let me see. Well, we pretty much covered it all. We really did. We really what else do we need to know about taking care of our eyes when it comes to diabetes?
Okay. Well, one of the things that we do, and again, some amazing technology we have in our house. We're one of the few people in the Chicago area that even have this. We can actually look at the blood flow in the back of the eyes without injecting any dye through your veins. So we can see very, very subtle changes in their blood flow. So again, the key is catching it early. And even people that have some damage, it helps us to kind of monitor that over time. So it's called OCT angiography. That's the technical name. But basically, it allows us to measure that blood flow. Okay. Now, where do you start? So a lot of times people say, okay, you got this, you got me. I've been told I was borderline, or yeah, I have a little bit of sugar. And what do I do now? Okay, well, we do an initial assessment. Okay, can you just write down what you eat maybe for 3 days out the week? Let's see where you're at, how active you are. So we have to do an initial assessment. Where are you at now? Are you willing to make any changes? What you cooking for Thanksgiving? You know, we'll wait till after the New Year's. And these can be very difficult times of year, because we got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, and we got New Year's. So that's a triple threat to our diet and our health.
So, and you know, Doc, I'm multicultural, so I celebrate Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. Okay. So, you know, I celebrate them all. So if this had been a normal year, I would actually have to go to various celebrations and eat at all those celebrations.
Right. So, well, and then everybody's talked about how they picked up that COVID-19 being at home, the 19 pounds, if not more. So, but how do you got to kind of plan. You got to assess how we're going to move through this. And food is really your best medicine. How can you be active and you self-sheltered in place? There's a lot of different ways you can move in the house. Some people like to vacuum and clean and things of that nature. Sometimes it's as simple as walking in place, but you got to find out what turns you on. And one of the things our foundation is looking at doing is maybe online line dancing. So you could do it, put up your little computer screen, or look at your cell phone, and you can look at our dance instructor as she teaches a class remotely. So we have to come up with innovative ways to help people move. You're sitting at a desk all day. There's different chair exercises you can do.
Yes.
You'd be surprised. So,
Doc, we have a question from one of our viewers that wants to know about hypertension can also affect one's eyesight. Could you please talk about hypertension and eye care or eye disease?
Okay. Poorly controlled blood vessels, blood pressure can affect the delicate blood vessels in the back of the eye, just like diabetes. So you can get broken blood vessels, you can get bleeding and swelling in the back of the eye. So you hear about some people having a stroke in the eye. So basically, that's a blood vessel that has broken. And again, with our technology, we can look at any minor damage even in the small blood vessels in the back of the eyes from poorly controlled blood vessels. So our effort then is to work with your primary care physician to help you get that blood pressure under control. They're going to prescribe the right medication for you. We'll talk about how maybe you can get, maybe a little bit more active and exercise and also diet. What's your salt like? What's your salt intake like? So short answer, yes, it can affect the eyes. You can lose your eyesight with poorly controlled high blood pressure.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Doc, great job. Do me a favor, tell people how they can connect with the organization. I'll put the website up here again. We are taking donations to be able to help to do more awareness in the community as a whole. And so tell people some of our wish list needs that we have for the organization.
And the first thing we want to do is raising money to help people get diabetes education, especially during this holiday season when they might not be able to afford it or have problems getting insurance coverage. So there are a lot of people that are having problems controlling their diabetes, controlling their blood pressure. And it is so important in this period of COVID to help them do that, because again, if you catch the COVID and you also have poorly controlled high blood pressure, diabetes, then that could be a problem. So we want to arm you and give you as much information to help us all move through this situation. Hopefully no one else will catch it, but we know that's not true. But we want to try to arm and equip people to help take more control of their health care. So our raising money for people that cannot afford it. We're also raising money and try to provide scholarships or awareness so we can provide a pipeline for more African American doctors. We're trying to raise money for people to get the specialty eye care, not just the diabetes education, but they have these diagnoses and everybody is unable to go to county, right? So people can get the higher level of eye care that they need, that they might not have available to them otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not just eye care, but it's other aspects. Autoimmune disease. We also, and a lot of times, transportation is an issue. Getting to these appointments, people are sheltered in place. How do you get from here to there? So we want to provide funding so people can travel to get the necessary care that they need. Mm-hmm. So they might go to a place like URIC that takes their insurance, but they can't get there. They have to depend on a grandson or granddaughter or an aunt or nephew, and they just can't make it because these people are working. So we want to be able to really just equalize and get the information out. So we are raising funds. You can go on our website, healthylivingwiththevision.org, and just make a donation. Anything, $5, $10, whatever you can. Just click on our website, and there's a button for donations.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so very much, Doctor. You've done a great job so far. Are you enjoying yourself as a co-host?
this is I. If you invite me back, I'll come on back. But this is
Well,
yes.
you always make a great guest. So you've now been in the co-host seat. So, you're doing a good job. We're at 8 o'clock now. Can you believe that?
Wow,
I
it's gone
know.
quick. It's gone quick.
It's just like a doctor's appointment with you. Very thorough, very, very informative. It's been that. It really has. And see, I'm on East Coast time still, Doc. So,
Wow.
I'm sitting here like, I hate the East Coast time because you just get so sleepy earlier there. It's already that we've had daylight savings time to hit us, and then I'm an hour ahead. So, Kay Renee just said you're doing a wonderful job, Doc, as co-host.
Oh well,
She'll
thank
be here.
you.
Yeah, she'll be here tomorrow night as co-host. So we're looking forward to that. Speaking about tomorrow night's show, I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure. We're just days away from the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and we want to wish you and your family a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving celebration. We do want to remind everyone that we're in the midst of a global pandemic. Coronavirus is no joke. The numbers are steady rising in places throughout the country. The death toll is still rising. We want to remind everyone to do every precautionary measure possible to protect you and your family. Most states are disencouraging people getting together for big holiday family gatherings. If the people are not in your house, we're asking that you please do not have a huge party. I know y'all hard-headed and all want to see Big Mama, but it's somebody that's going to come over to see Big Mama and hand her the Rona. She going to hand you a plate of macaroni and cheese, and you going to hand her the Rona. Now, do you think that's fair? No, it's not. So try to do whatever's necessary to protect yourselves and do the right things during this global pandemic. All right. Coming up on tomorrow night's show, the Tuesday night show, Kay Renee is back in the guest co-host chair. We love and adore her. She's been making sweet potato pies all weekend for her business, Potatoes All Sweet. So she is doing a great job with that. But tomorrow night, we welcome back to the show. You can. Tomorrow night, we'll welcome back to the show actress and producer Anne Marie Johnson. Remember, she was here with us a couple of months ago, and she'll be back tomorrow night to talk about her role as co-producer of Bronzeville Books. And joining her tomorrow night is the founder of Bronzeville Books, Mr. Danny Gardner, who is an actor, director, screenwriter, and the founder of Bronzeville Books. We'll talk about elevating our voices. We are oftentimes unrepresented when it comes to telling our stories and audiobooks and different productions. So they'll be here tomorrow night to talk about the importance of us sharing our voices and stories. And that should be really fascinating. And then we're going to meet a young lady by the name of Cecily Wilson. She's a former broadcaster who actually had a stroke on live television as a leading broadcast anchor. Her first stroke was when she was 30 years old, and she has had 2 strokes in her lifetime. She's a beautiful woman. Cecily is a best-selling author. Her debut book is She Said the P Word, and we'll talk about that as well as her give backs and all the things that she's doing. But her story is really, truly a testimony. Can you imagine, Doc, having a stroke at the age of 30, and she's had 2 strokes?
Wow. I have to say that my nephew's son's mother, I think she was in her late 20s, had a stroke. She was taking birth control pills. So
she was taking what?
Birth control pills.
And they called her to have a stroke?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So that's not totally unheard of. It's not common, but it can happen.
Oof, just a mess. Well, we'll talk to this young lady tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. And then coming up on Wednesday night, which is Thanksgiving Eve, I will talk to you guys about traveling, getting back into the swing of things, whether you should or should not. I'll talk to you guys about some of the fact finding that I did when I was traveling over the last 14 days. And we also will talk about how to put together your Zoom party for Thanksgiving. The things you should talk about with your family, some games you can play, just how to set it up. Zoom has raised their 40-minute limit on Thanksgiving, so people are able to have unlimited Thanksgiving Zoom calls.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. That is nice. Zoom done made enough damn money off of everybody during this pandemic. Look, Doc, the only Zoom I knew used to come on PBS. Now everybody's Zooming on a computer.
Wow.
All right.
Their stock, if you looked at their stock, it's like, wow, it's crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. Yes. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, you got to realize everybody's doing Zoom calls now.
Yeah.
You know, I broke Zoom on my birthday, right? Okay, so while I was on vacation, I had set up a Zoom call so people could Zoom me on my birthday. And where I was, the Wi-Fi could not handle the number of people who were trying to get on to wish me happy birthday. So I could see the hundreds of people now. I could see them, but every time I went to talk, they thought I was either drunk or had some type of impairment, and I was not. It was just so many people they could never hear me on the call. So yes, but I did have a Zoom birthday party. It only lasted for about 15 minutes.
You didn't mute people?
No, it wasn't a matter of muting them. It was so many people, dude, that they just kept adding and adding and adding. It would be like 50 people are waiting, 75 people are waiting, and I'm using just regular Wi-Fi. I wasn't, on the super Wi-Fi. So I broke Zoom. I did. I broke Zoom on my birthday. That's what I do.
You are the chat daddy.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you so much.
Well,
yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Ansel T. Johnson. You are Dr.
Birthday once again. Happy belated. You get the whole shelter in place time period to celebrate. So I know you took
right. Look, Doc, I said, listen, I was gone for 14 days to make sure the cooties didn't get me while I was on the trip. I'm back here and I will be in the house until 14 days. So it just is what it is. So, all right. Well, our next guest tonight is a new guest to the show this evening. We're actually honored to welcome him. He is an allergist and asthma specialist, but he is on a mission now to talk to people about the importance of improving our diet. As we all know, Thursday is a feeding frenzy, but this doctor would love for us to add more plant-based items to our diet. And so tonight we're going to talk about his acronym of Fearless and some other things that he wants us to know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my fellow board member, also an esteemed doctor, one of Dr. Johnson's, this is one of your colleagues. This is one of your homies. This is one of your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Dr. James Thompson. How are you, doctor? Good evening.
Good evening. Good to be here.
I've
been tuning in on you guys since the beginning. It's been quite an entertaining show there and informative.
Well, thank you, doctor. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here this evening. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you.
And I was going to start off, Doc, by saying, with you going plant-based, what is Thanksgiving dinner going to look like at your house this year?
Well, it's going to be binary because I'm the only one in my house that's plant-based.
Oh, okay.
But I'm an empty nester. I do have my mother-in-law that lives with me. She's challenged with dementia, so she eats whatever we put in front of her. But my wife is still a little bit behind on the journey. She's kind of trying to catch up. So she's still doing a little turkey and some yams and some macaroni and stuff you've been talking about. I think she might even want a chitlin if we had one.
Tell your wife I said hello. tell her to just put me some in the mailbox and I'll come by and get them.
Well, yes. I've got a special gift for you, and if you can see this, what does that look like?
Oh yes, chitterlings.
No, those are vitlins. Those are vegan chitlins.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I just thought about that. I thought about that. Oh my God. So wait a minute, Doc. Please explain those to us.
I want to turn you on to some vitlins, brother. They've already passed the chitlin test. There's no animal products. There's no GMO. It's organic,
Oh,
and it's got all the other fancy fixings made with bell
so
pepper and
now,
cayenne and
okay,
everything.
really? And so, where would one go get the Vitlins?
Well, you actually gonna make them yourself. you got they use something special, an Asian bean curd. So, but it's a substitute for that those uh, those pork intestines.
Guess what?
Wow.
You don't have to skin them. You don't have
You
to
don't.
skin 'em.
There's no membrane. Okay. There's no smell.
You don't stank up the whole house.
Oh my
No.
God.
Preferably, I like to feed my gut versus eat gut, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, doctor, since you're a first-time guest, kind of introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about your background, and then I do want to get into what Fearless is all about and how you've been on this campaign of being fearless.
All right. All right. Well, first of all, I've been in practice for 30 years. I'm a native Chicagoan. Came up through the Chicago public schools and went to the University of Illinois for college and then to Washington University for medical school. And went from there back to Chicago to University of Illinois where I trained in internal medicine, and then went back to St. Louis to Washington University for allergy and immunology fellowship training. Then in 1990, 30 years ago, I joined the practice that I am still with in allergy, asthma, and immunology. And I work out of two offices now, one in Orland Park and one in Lincoln Park. I was downtown, but due to the pandemic, we are forced to close that office. And so I will be working in our Lincoln Park office. Now, my journey in nutrition began about 10 years ago when my church did a Daniel fast. And the first one was 10 days. And I noticed by a week, I just felt so much better. I had developed some problems early on. I had developed high blood pressure, and this was in my early 30s. I was able to run away from it for a while by running several miles a day and eating just lean meats and lots of fish. But it caught up with me. I ended up needing to be on medications, and after a few years, I looked up. I was on 3 blood pressure medicines. I was requiring a cholesterol lowering agent. Many people are familiar with it, Lipitor, and I was having side effects from all of the medicines. I feel a little dizzy sometimes. I feel a little aching pains in the ribs when I go off the cholesterol medicine. I feel better when my cholesterol would go down very well from 220 down to 180, but then if I didn't take the medicine, it would go back up. And so I found out that when I did the Daniel fast, the book of Daniel from the Old Testament, this Daniel fast required you to eat just vegetables and fruits and nuts, no processed food, no caffeine, no alcohol. When we did it a year later, it was
Wait, you said no caffeine, no alcohol?
Yes. It's almost like
Did
Lent.
that-
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I
Like
digress,
Lent
Doc.
on steroids.
You
So,
said no caffeine, no alcohol. I digress.
yeah, the bare minimum, just the food from the garden, which was tough. But after a week, you kind of it's really not so bad because you can eat all you want of the stuff that's on the list. All you want, fruits, veggies, beans. And so when we did the 21-day fast, by the third week, I felt like a new man. I was sleeping better. My arthritis from running all those miles for all those years had gone away. My vision seemed clearer. Now that really, how do you explain that? And my blood pressure medicine was too strong. So by the third week, I was having to cut back. So that told me something. And I said, this can't all be just the praying that goes along with the Daniel fast. So that made me research nutrition and the science of nutrition. And I ended up getting so motivated. I ended up getting certified in holistic nutrition coaching, which was a year-long certification program out of New York, 6 hours a week. And that really just totally opened my eyes. So about 4 years ago, I went totally whole food, plant-based. And once I did that, about 3 months later, I was done with my 3 blood pressure medicines, gone. Haven't had them since. Blood pressure's just fine, even on my most stressful days. I had developed GERD. It was better, much better. I have GERD and hiatal hernia. The knee wasn't bothering me anymore. Lipitor, didn't need any more. My cholesterol is lower off Lipitor now than when I was on. It's like my last one I did a couple of months ago, it was 150.
Wow.
And I used to wear glasses and contact lenses. I went to get an eye exam 2.5 years ago because things were getting blurry. And the eye doctor told me, well, your lenses are too strong. so so I said, must be the beta carotene. All I know is I have not needed glasses or contact lenses in over a couple of years. And now
Wow.
the night vision isn't as crisp, but I'm still not feeling like I need to reach for glasses. I can see, the signs pretty well. It's really a big difference. And so
Mm.
I'm not going to look back. I can't. I like not being on medicines. I like not going to the pharmacist. And so, yet I'm a prescriber of medicines. The conventionally trained doctors trained to prescribe medications, tell people they're going to need blood pressure medicine all their life. If they get type 2 diabetes, you're going to need these pills and maybe some shots at some point in your life. But that would be false. You can reverse hypertension. You can
Mhm.
reverse type 2 diabetes.
Mhm.
Type 2 diabetes starts off with insulin resistance that occurs years before you end up having the elevated blood sugars. And so all of these things my eyes were open to, and I realized in my training that although it's mostly about the food, it's not all about the food. And that's where
Mhm.
the fearless acronym came in. And F is first because food is most important. And Dr. Kim Williams, who's the chairman of the Department of Cardiology at Rush, who is also a whole food plant-based follower, tells that to all his patients and his staff. And he lets people know that food is about 4 times more important than anything else, than even exercise, although exercise is
Mm.
important. But the food is important, mostly plant-based. The E is for exercise. It is important to get at least 150 minutes per week of exercise in, uh,
Mhm.
mostly cardio, but some weight bearing. The A is for avoiding toxins. You want to avoid excessive drinking. You want to no smoking of anything. Why combust anything? And smoke. There's some agents that can bother you and cause the overloading of your liver if you have to burn anything. So you really shouldn't smoke anything. Restorative sleep. That's not the kind of sleep with televisions on and your cell phone next to you going ping pang and all that. I'm talking about really quality 7 to 8 hours sleep. Lessening
Mhm.
stress. That's usually with meditation or yoga, mindfulness. Getting good sleep, exercise, all that helps you to relieve stress. Engaging your mind, especially when you're near or after retirement, if you have that busy career and then you think you're just going to settle down and play golf and sit on the couch, you're going to go down fast. You want to keep your mind engaged with complex and challenging things. So engaging the mind is important. The first S at the end is for social interaction and contribution. They found out in communities where people live greater than 90, they're called blue zones around the world. These people have another common thread. They tend to be very socially interactive and they tend to donate and contribute. They like to contribute maybe to the foundation we're talking about, healthy living with the foundation. That would be a contribution. Um,
That would.
and then the last S is for spiritual, having some kind of spiritual connection, some kind of existential connection that further kind of balances out this whole process. So anyway,
Mhm.
that's what the fearless acronym stands for. But the food is of utmost importance because that's what has led to most of our problems that we're beset with now. And this COVID pandemic has just identified it, like ripped the scab off the wound that we're more susceptible to these things because of the diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity, the chronic kidney disease that makes us more susceptible. I know you were talking about that earlier. Dr. Kim Williams, who was early on um, in the middle of this process at Rush, because they had since 911, they're able to just escalate up the beds and amplify the number of ICU beds. He made an observation that if you adjust for those comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, if you adjust for those, Black people do not have any higher risk at dying or contracting COVID-19. In fact, may have a little bit of an edge. Now, there's not a study, but that's what I'll quote him as saying, and I trust this
Mhm.
man. He's an expert in this area, and so
Mhm.
that's the general scheme.
Okay, very good. That's a lot of information you've given us. A couple of people have said, you've hit their story dead on the head. This hypertension is really out of control with a lot of people, and they're on these hypertension medicines. And what they don't realize, it does change you quite a bit. And so let's talk about where would people be able to get their protein from? Protein is very important. And when you do a plant-based diet, you are restricting your protein. What are some of the things that you would suggest for people to be able to get that protein?
Well, actually, that is one of the most common questions when people talk about being vegan or going whole food plant-based. And at some point, I like to tell you the difference between those two. But the thing is that you get your protein from beans and from whole grains. So you're not going to be protein deficient if you give up meat, if you give up um, pork, beef, lamb, fish, you know, chicken. You're not going to be, that's the last thing you have to worry about. Unless you eat an imbalanced diet. If you don't have a balanced whole food plant-based diet, then you might get into trouble. Like say you become a fruitarian and you just eat fruit every day. Well, you're gonna lose some weight, you're gonna be healthy in some other areas, but you might end up becoming protein deficient because you can get your protein from the symphony of beans. You know, there's black beans, there's red beans, there's chickpeas, there's soybean, peas. You get significant protein from that, and a lot of people don't realize that you can get protein from whole grains. You get protein from oatmeal. You get protein from quinoa, from buckwheat. All those have protein too, and quinoa is what they call a complete protein. They have all the essential amino acids. Protein's just amino acids linked in a chain. So when you're getting amino acids in, you're getting protein. When you eat those chunks of meat, it's being broken down to amino acids. It isn't going straight from meat to your muscles. It's got to be broken down to amino acids. Then it gets put into your structures, your muscle structures, and other body structures. But you can get that from plants. Now, there are some of the strongest and largest animals on this earth don't eat meat. You know,
Mm.
the gorillas don't eat meat. The huge whales don't eat meat. They're eating plankton. They're eating seafood, sea plants, not even flesh. Um, Giraffes, they're not eating animals. So it's not really necessary, although we've become conditioned to eat it and like it.
Mhm. Well, now let's talk about one of my favorite things to eat. I am a cheeseaholic, and I've been told that cheese is not the best thing to consume.
He's a holiday.
I am a cheeseaholic. Are you kidding me? I know somebody thought I had a mental disorder because I love variations of cheese. I love stinky cheeses. I love creamy cheese. I'm just spending a lot of time in Europe. I became a purveyor of cheeses. So now go ahead, Doc, and tell me what's
Yeah.
wrong with all of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, cheese was I have to admit, it was one of the hardest things for me to give up too. I like my cheese. And I spent sometimes over 30 minutes looking at cheese, trying to figure out the cheese with the least amount of fat and salt. And it doesn't exist. It's pure fat and salt. Okay. So for me, knowing that I have these risks, because I didn't mention that, many of the males in my family don't live past 60 or 70, and that was another motivating factor for me, and that's mostly because of those heart disease and diabetes and things of that nature. So I wanted to do everything possible I can to reduce my risk factors, so I had to give up cheese. And I found out that why cheese is so addictive, and it is addictive. It's because it breaks down to something called casomorphines. Notice the end of that, morphines, casomorphines. So they hit that
Mm.
dopamine center in the brain that makes you feel like you gotta have it. Dopamine center is the addictive center. That's where that you get that reward. It's really fast acting, and the next thing you say, when can I have another? When can I have some more? And so That's how cheese is. So people love their cheese. So but the thing is, just like most things that are addictive and we're hooked on, the further you get away from it, the less of a problem it is. Once I got a couple of months away from it, okay, that was cool. And then someone turned me on to nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast you can find in most health food stores, probably some regular stores now. It has a cheese flavor, but it is not fat. It is not loaded with salt. You can sprinkle it on anything. I sprinkle it on my popcorn. I sprinkle it on various dishes I make just to get a cheese flavor. It's got some B12 in it, which people that don't eat meat, they need to be taking some B12, vitamin B12. So it kind of serves that purpose too. But yeah, cheese is a hard one, but we're hooked on it. It's the food engineers that like that. They like that fact. That's why they make so much money, the corporations, because they design these foods so that we can't do without them. Yet, cheese is loaded with saturated fat. Cheese is loaded with salt. There's no low salt cheese. There's relatively lower salt cheese. But you're getting a lot of salt with any cheese. They have to use the salt to neutralize the fermenting process. So no cheese is really healthy.
So it's that cracked cheese, huh?
That's what it's like.
It's
That's
cracked.
what it's like.
Cracked.
If I didn't like you two guys, I'd say you both are killjoys, but that's okay. I think I like you both. That's all right. Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
No, I was gonna say I was shopping in a major grocery store chain, and I actually found some vegan cheese, and it was really tasty. A little costly,
Yeah.
but it was tasty. So
Yeah,
I
there's
put it up.
there's some alternatives, and that would be there's vegan cheese, and I consider those as like transition food. Because one thing, since I'm whole food plant based, I'm trying to eat minimally processed food, and 60% of the standard American diet, the also known as SAD diet, contains contains highly processed foods. So that means there's a lot of chemicals in it. It's unrecognizable from how it came out the ground. It has a lot of preservatives. It usually has a long shelf life, and so I consider some of these like soy-based products and vegan cheese as more kind of transition, much like the Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger. Transition foods. It's not the healthiest, but probably better than eating the real thing.
And the Beyond Burgers, and I think McDonald's is coming out finally with their Beyond stuff. But
Yeah, I can't wait to see the makeup of the burgers. I know the current top two, the Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger, have lots of sodium in it, and they add saturated fat to it. So yes, they're not harming any animals. They're probably helping out the environment. So vegans are happy, and see that's what vegans are mostly about. The philosophical vegans, they want to have less animal cruelty and less environmental impact from the carbon footprint from eating meat. And that solves those two purposes very well. But if your primary point is to eat very healthy, then you don't want to be stuck on the Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger because it's loaded with some sodium and saturated fat.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, Doc, I want to talk about cooked vegetables versus eating them raw. I know eating them raw is the most nutrient factor, but is there a way that we can kind of cook them and not lose so much of their nutrients? Black folks cook greens 4-5 hours, cook them down good, and that meat and all of that. But I'm sure you're going to tell me that raw is the best, but give us some advice on cooking these vegetables for the holiday.
Sure. Well, I actually tell people any way they can eat those vegetables, just eat them. I just don't want them piling salt on it and ham hocks or ham bones and all the meat in there from the grease and the oil. But any way you want to eat your vegetables, you eat them. But if you're trying to establish nutritional excellence, then certain veggies you'll cook a certain way and other veggies you'll cook another way because of how you bring out the best in their nutritional offerings. For example, you don't want to overcook broccoli, and you don't want to overcook spinach, and most greens, because a lot of the nutrients end up in the water. Now, if you're going to drink the water, okay, that's fine, but I don't know many people drinking the water. And so you want to lightly steam or cook broccoli and lightly cook, not too long, the spinach. Other veggies are more robust, like kale. You can cook the kale as long as you want. It's pretty robust and holds on to its micronutrients. There are some veggies
Mhm.
that increase in their nutrient value when you cook them, believe it or not. Veggies like carrots and celery, they increase in the when you cook them. And tomato offers those lycopenes that are antioxidant, good for the heart, good for anti-cancer. Now, if you like them uncooked, that's fine. But if you do cook tomato, especially when it's in like tomato sauce without all the sodium and other stuff, it's even more nutritional. So there are some foods that, and let me see, beans also, string beans, they are more nutritional when cooked. So it really depends on the vegetable, but I tell people don't get too hung up on the cooking methods. As long as you eat those and they're taking the place of some of that other food, the processed food, the meat and the egg and the dairy, you're on the right track.
Okay.
Just eat your
Doc,
veggies.
we have several questions from some people who are on the feed. Kimberly wants to know what about frozen vegetables? And we have a question about juicing. Can you talk about both of those, please?
Sure, sure, I'd love to, because I've done all of that. So if, I'll start with the frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables are just fine. They're the next best thing to fresh vegetables. Now, when we have less access to fresh vegetables as we get into the cold of winter and all that, often you have to, go to frozen, and that's fine because the nutrients are frozen in it. There's something called blanching that they do with these vegetables so that they freeze with the nutrition in them. So they're heated for just a very short period of time, and then they're frozen. So that's fine. And people ask often about frozen fruit. Do you lose nutrition if you have frozen fruit? Very little. It's worth having that frozen fruit. Sometimes the frozen fruit may be just as or better than fruit that's been sitting out day after day in the grocery store in the produce section, or that's had to travel 5 days from California or Mexico. Maybe it's probably in refrigerated, but still, once it comes off the vine, it gradually starts to lose its nutrition. Now, the thing about
Okay.
frozen fruit is, right off the vine, it gets frozen. So you tend to freeze in more nutrients. Now, I'm not saying frozen fruit is better than fresh fruit, but I'm just saying that you don't lose that much nutrition by having frozen fruit as your alternative. I know I'm going to have to deal with some frozen blueberries all winter. You just don't get fresh ones in the winter, and so
Right.
that works out fine. Now, the vegetables. So yeah, I did mention that the vegetable frozen. Go for it. Just be careful that they're not adding salt and high fructose corn syrup and things like that. You want it as untainted as possible with chemicals and preservatives.
Hmm. What about juicing, doctor?
I'm
I'm a
sorry, yeah.
firm believer that I drink a glass of carrot juice every day. That's my new routine now. And so, what about juicing and what are the benefits of juicing?
There are benefits to juicing. You still get a significant amount of nutrients when you juice, but I try to encourage people to not juice very often and instead blend, because you get a blender, you're not getting rid of that important fiber. When people are plant based, like myself, like when you're whole food plant based, the most important thing, other than I'm probably just as important as the micronutrients and minerals, is the fiber. And the fiber is what feeds that gut bacteria in your large intestines that more and more research now is showing is crucial to good health. It affects your heart, integrity of your heart, the health of your heart, your mood, your hormone balance, your immune system, your digestive system, of course. So many people have irritable bowel and Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, primarily because of the diets we have. But juice, the thing about juice is you're kind of drilling down on some important components of the fruit, the liquid and micronutrients. But out the back of the juicer is all that wholesome fiber that your bacteria in the colon just love to eat and make your colon healthy. So that's the only thing. When I was juicing avidly about 4 or 5 years ago, I felt guilty when I was throwing away the fiber. I remember reading something, well, save the fiber, make these soups and sauces and all that. So I put the fiber in the refrigerator. Next thing I know, my wife is like throw this stinky stuff out. And so it didn't go over very well. So ended up never using it. And so that's an important part of the plant, the fiber. That's why white rice is empty calories, because they get rid of the fiber. The three components to grain, there's the bran, the endosperm, and the germ. Well, when they make white rice, they get rid of the bran. That's your fiber, and they get rid of the germ, and so you just got the caloric, you know, food that doesn't really have any micronutrients. Just gives you calories and bumps your insulin, gives you an insulin spike. And that's the other problem with juices, is that when you get rid of the fiber, you get more of an insulin spike. And remember, we're trying to decrease our risk of diabetes, of insulin resistance. But when you get the juice in there, if someone wants to measure your glucose about 15, 20 minutes after you drink that juice, pew, and that's not healthy.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Johnson, go right ahead.
No, I was pointing up the blood sugar just like Dr. Johnson said. That was in agreement. We both,
Yeah. So fiber does a lot of things. I mean, I can't say enough. I could talk an hour about fiber. I know we don't have an hour, but the thing about fiber is, there's two types. There's soluble and there's insoluble fiber. And the fiber, many things like beans and whole grains have both types in them. And what they do is they slow the absorption of sugar. They slow the absorption of estrogens that get in there. So for women, lower risk of breast cancer. For men, lower risk of prostate cancer. They slow the absorption of fats and cholesterol. So where does it go if they slow the absorption? Into the toilet instead of back into your body. And so this fiber is the food of bacteria. We all have about 5, 6, or 7 pounds of bacteria in our gut. Doctors used to think, okay, it's just part of the poop, right? No, actually, it's 38 trillion microorganisms that govern our bodily functions minute to minute. And so every time we have an interface with the outside world, we eat, we are doing something to our gut bacteria that's either going to be good, bad, or neutral. And unfortunately, with the standard American diet, it's often bad. And that's why they come up with these terms, leaky gut and dysbiosis and all that. And people are on medicines now. You go to your GI doctor, they give you a medicine for IBS. They don't talk to you about diet. There's about 1% of doctors conventionally trained like me that will talk to you about diet. And that's because we're not trained about it. It's not in the DNA of medical school. And doctors don't want to talk to you about something they aren't very knowledgeable about. They also don't want to talk to you about something they don't do themselves. And they also don't want to talk to you about something that's going to take more time. We have the little 15-minute slot to check off all these other boxes. And they also want to talk to you about something they think you probably aren't going to change after they talk. Like in the 50s with cigarettes, a lot of doctors smoked and they didn't tell people to stop smoking, even though the Surgeon General was saying it, because they didn't think people would stop smoking anyway. So that's kind of where we are with food now.
We did have a question from a viewer that wants to know about the Morning Star products. What do you feel about those?
Yeah, I used to be quite a fan of those. And so I transitioned to that. I think it's a transition. You get off the main stuff and you go to the Morning Star products, which are processed soy for the most part and maybe other plant-based foods. But don't stop there. Have it a transition, because many times they have a lot of salt. And I know you were talking about salt earlier, but we really need to watch our salt. And black people, we tend to retain more salt. We could discuss how that came about, but we need to watch our salt. And so, how do you know how much, whether something has too much salt? We have to become really good label readers. Read that can, read that package, read that Morning Star. If the calories per serving is lower than the amount of salt per serving, put it back. Because usually what you'll find with a lot of those is the salt is way above the number of calories, and you only want about 1,500 milligrams of salt a day. Now, a Big Mac, fries, and a soda, that's about 3,500 right there, one meal.
No.
maybe more.
No,
Yeah.
that's horrible. That is horrible.
Yeah, I think once you start reading these labels, it's a real eye opener. And that's one of the first things
Oh,
we teach in our diabetes classes. You start, and you're gonna go through a little trauma because it's like I can't eat anything. Well, again, baby steps. I mean, it first starts with awareness. So
yeah, you're right.
Very good. Well, doctor, I want to find out about the difference between cooking with olive oil and cooking with coconut oil. Can you help us to understand a better understanding of that?
Sure. Yeah. Oils are tricky because I'll tell you, oils are seem to be involved in every aspect of food. If you look uh, on the labels and realize that oil is just liquid fat. So oil is fat. It's just liquid fat. And so oil has more than twice as many calories per gram than carbs have. So a tablespoon of oil is like 120 calories. And so you want to be careful with how much oil you eat. You know, you go to an Italian restaurant, and what's the first thing you do, right? You get the bread, you get the olive oil, you start sopping it up before you've even had your salad. You've had enough fat for a whole day, and then you have your meal. But the thing is, olive oil gets a lot of credit because it doesn't contain, it's not saturated fat. It has a healthier component of oil in it, but yet it's still a processed food that is highly caloric and has no micronutrients. So that used to be my cheap saute. I put the oil in, I saute. I thought I was doing all healthy. I would always start with onion and garlic. Saute my onion and garlic and olive oil. Then I got smart when I got certified in nutrition, and they told us about all these various aspects of cooking and oils. And I said, okay, if I want to do the best to keep my blood vessels, as Dr. Johnson was saying earlier, how important these blood vessels need to be healthy, then I need to go no oil. I need to go as little oil as possible. So I do what's called now a dry saute. And I throw a little water in there. I throw my onion and garlic. You still have that aroma of onion and garlic. It still does what it's supposed to do. You don't have to have the oil. But the oil gives you your calories. If you're trying to lose weight, you're eating all this healthy veggies and all that. You're wondering why you can't lose weight. It's the oil. The oil gives you nine more there's nine more calories per gram. So you don't, it's more than the carbs. It's twice as much caloric density than the carbs. And so you really want to get back on. You want to ratchet back on the oil.
So let me
Coconut
ask you
oil,
this. Okay,
coconut
go
oil
ahead.
has saturated fat. Okay, coconut oil is not all saturated fat. There's a fat called lauric acid or something in it too, or lauryl sulfate, and that's a healthy component. But you're 2 steps forward with that healthy part of the coconut, and 3 steps backward with the saturated fat. And that's why you can call some of these burgers plant-based, because they take the saturated fat from coconut oil and put it in the burger. But guess what? Saturated fat is saturated fat. It still increases your cholesterol, still increases your cardiac risk.
Mm.
So the
So
best use of coconut oil is rubbing it on your skin and shining your shoes and doing things like that.
I will
Okay.
say this: a lot of people have dry skin around the eyes.
Uh-huh.
We tell them to get organic coconut oil
Yeah.
because it really helps. That's another
But there you go. External use, brothers. External use.
Okay.
Not for
All right.
internal use. Yeah.
All right. Very good. I want to talk about, you said there's something wrong with egg whites. I know a lot of people who have egg white omelets, who like to have egg white bites. What's the dealio with the egg whites?
So egg whites, you have made a step in the right direction because you're not eating that yolk that contains almost a day's worth of cholesterol. And let's face it, guys, how many people eat one egg, right? So when you go up into one of these restaurants, if you get an omelet, you may be getting 3, 4, 5 eggs, right? So you got like 3 days worth of cholesterol floating into your vessels already. But say you're gonna order the egg white. Well, now you don't get any of that cholesterol. So yes, you have dramatically reduced your fat. But what are you still getting? Well, eggs do have some other things about it. They're pro-inflammatory, and if you're worried about diabetes, if you're worried about colon inflammation and things like that, you could be stoking the flame. You're taking a foreign protein from an animal, putting it in your gut and telling your gut deal with it. And some guts don't deal with that so well. And so that's one thing. It's pro-inflammatory. The other thing is there are components of it called choline that break down into something called TMAO, trimethylate anhydride, and your liver turns that into something else that is again bad for your heart, that can increase your cardiac risk. So eggs are still, egg white is fine for a while, but try to transition even away. How about a tofu scramble? Throw some turmeric in there. It looks like egg because it's yellow. You got the turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory. You got the tofu, which reduces your risk for prostate cancer and breast cancer. And there are people out there who say, "Oh, I heard that soy or tofu can increase your risk for breast cancer." No, it's the opposite. There's some studies out there that have been debunked. So your consumption of soy, especially not highly processed soy, and that's tofu, that's tempeh, that's edamame, miso. Those can reduce your risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer.
We do have a question about vegetable oil, 100% vegetable oil. And I was going to ask you, can we use vegetable stock to saute our vegetables in?
Absolutely. I meant to say that. I don't always do a dry saute. Sometimes I use some low sodium vegetable stock. Look at that vegetable. You get the vegetable broth or vegetable stock. Look at the amount of sodium on it. When it doesn't say low sodium, it's high sodium. So again, it's 2 steps forward and 3 steps backwards. So check that out. But yes, you can use vegetable stock. Low sodium vegetable stock is fine to do your saute. That works out just fine. And then as far as vegetable oil goes, yeah, for a while that was on the favorite list. It's certainly better than lard and than some of these other oils that are saturated. And you can tell oils that are saturated because they get solid, at room temperature. Remember that bacon grease? What we used to do with that bacon grease? Keep it for days, right? Fry that egg in
Right.
it the next day.
The organic
Right.
coconut oil.
That's right. And don't let nobody put some fish grease in that bacon grease, right? Oh, good Lord, you go crazy. But vegetable oil is still your high caloric processed food. So, I know for a lot of people thinking, gosh, you're tearing down everything. What can we do? Well, I'm just giving to you straight. If you're trying to have nutritional excellence, then you're really going to minimize the oils. It's going to be hard to find any processed food that doesn't have some oil added to it. So adding stuff to it at home, really puts the teeter-totter further toward you having cardiac risk, dementia risk, things like that. And so vegetable oils, not using as little oil as possible is important. But when you talk about the hierarchy, yes, vegetable oil, they call it polyunsaturated oils, are healthier than the saturated animal fat oils.
Very good.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about bananas and grapes. Now, that they can be tricky with people in diabetes. With November being Diabetes Awareness Month, I've been always told that be careful of bananas and grapes. What's the story with that?
Yes, I think it's overblown. Certainly, if someone already has diabetes and they're on medication, they want to be careful and they want to eat foods that have a lower hyperglycemic index. That's how fast you get that insulin spike, um, or how fast your sugars will go up and cause an insulin spike based on certain foods. So a ripe banana will cause that. Most grapes, they're considered they're considered high glycemic. But in many cases, what happens is when these foods are in their whole forms, they also have fiber in them and other minerals that kind of counterbalance some of that. So the sugar, as I mentioned before, because of the fibers, the absorption of the sugar is slowed down. So there have been some studies where they've had diabetics, type 2 diabetics, just eat several servings of fruit and compared them to other people that told just keep eating your standard American diet. And like weeks later, the ones that were told to just go for it on fruit were healthier. The sugars were more stable. So I think it's overhyped. And I'm not telling people to go right out and start eating a lot of bananas, especially if you have diabetes. But I'm just saying you want to balance things out, have your bananas. Don't eat a whole batch of bananas. A banana or two is not going to hurt you. Grapes are not going to hurt you, but balance it out. Eat some lower glycemic fruit, like some berries. They're highly antioxidant. The darker the berry, the better. But the blueberries, the blackberries, the raspberries, the strawberries, those are all foods that are low glycemic, still give you a good pack of nutrients. And so if you just balance your fruit out, that would be good. But don't put the bananas off the table. Don't take them off the table, or the grapes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, look like we've covered everything. People are really loving this conversation. Dr. Johnson, what do you want to talk to our guests? Anything else you want to add to this?
Well, if you love great information like this, stay tuned. Check in at healthylivingwithavision.org. We also have a Facebook page. And please support our organizations. It's $5, $10, $50. We'll take 100. We'll take 1,000. But whatever you can do, the more we can do to help even out this disparity in our community in terms of health. And it starts with, the first time I talked to Dr. Thompson, man, we hit it off because we both have the same goal in life. And that's really to help people with their food, lifestyle, and all of that. So if you'd like for us to be able to do more of this in terms of sharing information, please just give whatever you can on our website.
Yes. Well, both of you guys did an outstanding job. You really did. I'm just proud to know both of you, to see, just two Black men doing the doggone thing and speaking nothing but truth and excellence to all people is really just something that we should all be just so grateful for both of you. And we appreciate you. Dr. Thompson, what words of advice would you want to give to people during this pandemic, this holiday season? Dr. Johnson and I were talking earlier. We're living in times right now that we've never seen before. None of us ever thought a pandemic would happen, just all of the things that are going on. So what words of encouragement do you want to leave with this audience? Oh, did we lose him? We lost. Oh no, he'll be back. He'll pop back in. You so funny, Doc. What you said? How you do that, Doc? Doc, this has been an outstanding show this evening. This has been really great.
My co-host voice.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? But boy, he laid a lot out tonight. I got a lot of stuff I need to change. I broke all the rules in these 14 days I was gone.
But like I said, it's baby steps. And like I said, you can go to my office website. I was checking to see if the vegan Thanksgiving cookbook is on our foundation website. It's not up there yet, but you can go to our Vision Salon Eye Care Associates Facebook page, and we will have a link on there to download the vegan Thanksgiving cookbook, or actually booklet, on visionsalon.com on Facebook, or visionsalon.com on our website under the nutrition tab. So we are all about sharing information. We got the cookbook. I wish I could claim that I wrote it. I did not. But from an association, physicians interested in, I forgot the name of the organization, but it's basically a group of doctors and organizations we belong to that are into helping inform with nutrition. So information is also on the booklet.
Okay. All right. Well, we definitely would have to have Dr. Thompson back. He was incredible. I definitely want to talk to him about allergies and asthma, and just, anytime I can talk to someone who looks like me and who is knowledgeable, it just gives me so much comfort and joy, and it gives me a better outlook on things, because I feel as if it's a family member who's talking to me about these particular things. I really do. I think it's great. Doctor, what else you got for me before we have to run off tonight? And hopefully Dr. Thompson might pop back in before we say goodnight.
Well, we just wish everyone stay safe. Be aware, we'll probably put up on our website on occasion where you can get free COVID-19 testing. Again, because we want to be a resource for that, because sometimes we had a little issue in our office where people were next to someone exposed, and I was like, "Ooh, I got to get a test." And I was calling my resources. Oh, there's a test tomorrow. I can get that, and I can go over here and get this rapid test. It might cost me a little extra money, but you need to know, and sometimes you need to know quickly. So, when you're dealing with the public, you don't know who has been exposed, so you just got to take extra care. And we do that a lot. We have to buzz people in. Just can't be strolling in the office like we used to check out glasses and stuff. So my staff has it on lockdown. You outside, okay, come on in, or wait a few minutes till the other person leaves. And so you got to understand your doctor visit's going to be a little bit different now. So
Yes.
Just I ask people to just be patient, because it's for your safety as well as the safety of the staff.
Yes. Yeah. There are even some hotels now where you have to call them and let them know how far you are away for your arrival, so they'll be able to prepare for when you arrive. So I'm going to talk about all of that on Wednesday night. I think I have Dr. Thompson back. Let's see. Dr. Thompson, are you there? Hey.
Yeah,
You
sorry
there?
about that.
That's all right. We understand. Look, I broke Zoom on my birthday, Doc. So that's all right. You've done a great job tonight. I did. I broke Zoom on my birthday. Too many people were on there. Doctor, I wanted you to give words of advice to everybody with this pandemic, the holiday season, and just words of comfort from, you to this audience.
Yeah, so we've talked about a lot tonight. I don't want anybody to part feeling overwhelmed. You don't have to create Rome in a day. It took me about a decade, really, even with my background in medicine. And as I look back, I feel like I should have known better. Maybe I could have been better help with my parents if I had known what I know. It's really about two major things. It's about the knowledge and acquiring more knowledge and putting that knowledge to work. And so you just do it in steps. And you'll get there. Just stay on the journey. There are going to be some setbacks, but just stay on the journey. Just remember, you got a lot of motivation. What's going on with this COVID pandemic is just horrible, what it's doing to our people. And yet you don't hear much about the fact that many of these things that make us vulnerable can be addressed.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
Control.
I'd like to believe that the most important thing we can do is really protect our gut, by putting healthy things in our gut, protect our liver, which detoxifies all the bad things that get through anyway, and preserve the brain, because a lot of Alzheimer's is just skyrocketing, and also along with diabetes, you get twice the risk of dementia and vascular dementia. So all of this is interwoven in the daily eating that we do and the activity that we are engaged in. So I just encourage everybody to just gather as much more information as they can about proper choices in eating and living. Think about the FEARLESS acronym, and have a great holiday.
Beautiful. Well, listen, gentlemen, you got rave reviews tonight. Quite a few people have texted me and said they thought this was a wonderful show. Joseph Bowling says, this has been a very informative show. Glad I tuned in. Dr. Thompson, your advice along with Dr. Johnson has been very helpful. Just taking people's health back. So they are really enjoying this show tonight. And I really appreciate you guys for taking time out of your schedule. This was a perfect show for me to come back and, start all anew with. And great job. A lot of people are just saying excellent show tonight. So I want to remind everybody, if you want to see an encore performance of tonight's show, you can always go to YouTube to The Real Chat Daddy Show, The Real Chat Daddy Show. Please share the show, start a watch party. It's easy and simple. It's free. Subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show page when you get a moment. And then don't forget to support the Healthy Living with a Vision Foundation, created by my co-host and good friend, Dr. Ansel T. Johnson. Dr. Thompson and I both are board members, and we're honored to work on something that will help mankind to be better and help those who cannot afford proper medical health care. I understand that more than anybody, being an independent contractor. So it is my pleasure to stand behind a product or an organization such as this one. All right, guys, what else we need to talk about?
Yeah, And with that, Chat Daddy, we have a phenomenal board, and we are I'm humbled and I'm blessed to have the two of you, and the other board members that we have are just phenomenal.
Yes, yes.
And people are going to be hearing about the foundation and the work that we're going to do. So I'm blessed to have you guys on board, and thank you for allowing us to be on your forum, Chat Daddy, because you blowing up, man.
Okay, all right. We'll see. We'll see. Right.
With your toes out in Florida. Yeah, you blowing up.
Yes. Look, this pandemic has taught me that this show can be done anywhere in the world. So don't be surprised if you actually see a palm tree behind me instead of this artificial tree. Don't be surprised.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you both here tonight. Dr. Thompson, I wish you and your family a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving. Tell your wife if she makes any chitterlings to please save me some. That's one of my favorites. I got to have a little bit, but now you told me about the vegan, what do we call them?
Vitlins.
Vitlins. Lord have mercy. Lord, I did that as a joke, and this man come on and tell me about some Vitlins. See, Doc, you're going to have to finance me now. See?
We'll have to put that recipe up for you.
Yes. Well, Dr. Thompson, I definitely will be reaching out to you because there are some other shows I'd like for you to come back on and talk to us about in the near future. So I appreciate you so much, and thanks for being here tonight.
I'd love to. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Dr. Thompson, who was here with us tonight. A great job. He did a wonderful job, didn't he, Dr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Yay! He did an outstanding job. All right.
And we got some other board members that we hope to get on to give you some more information.
Okay. You want to shout everybody out real quick before we go?
Yeah, Dr. Angela Wheeler, Mr. Carl Bird, and we have Sherry Witters Smith, who is a fabulous Whitney Houston impersonator.
I'm having her on before the holiday is over. She's going to be a part of my holiday extravaganza.
And nutritionist. And we have a couple IT people. Mr. Allison Devaney. He likes to stay behind the scenes, so he might be hard to get on. And who else? Oh, Gwen Kelly, big time marketing person who works for Walmart and other multinational companies with huge experience in marketing and things of that nature. And Michael Crawley, who is our IT guru, computer guru. So, and I also have to give a shout out for our executive director, Deborah Buffett. I call her BB. She's the one that works the oil and keeps our organization. We would not be where we are right now as an organization without her working as a volunteer executive director right now. So we get our feet on board. But
we appreciate her. We really do. God bless you, Deborah Buffett, you and your entire family and all the board members. God bless you guys, really. We're living in trying times now, but everybody has figured out a way to give back, and that's really good.
Yep. Oh, and Deborah Hurston, who's our board member in Minnesota. Again, a lot of experience in terms of working with organizations and associations, and I kind of forced her to be on our board, so she graciously said hello. So she helps a lot with terms of helping us to write some of our grant material. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've done it all. Everybody is saying super informative show. They've really enjoyed and loved tonight's show. You guys have done a great job. I feel like I've been at the doctor all day and got all my questions answered. I'm going to have Dr. Thompson back one night so we can just talk about poop one night. We need to talk about pooping issues. I'm sure he can help us with pooping issues. I'm sure he's a man about it all. So I'm sure he can help us. And then I do want to talk about allergies and asthma and all of that as well, too. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of yet another amazing show. I'm glad to be back from vacation. I feel renewed. Don't forget, Wednesday night, I will talk about traveling during COVID and what you do need to know. As a former airline professional and former flight attendant, I'm able to share a couple of things with you guys that might put some of you all at ease and answer some of your questions about should you travel, should you not travel. Again, the air on the airplane was amazing. I could not smell any jet fuel, nothing anybody was eating. Really, on both of my flights, people were not coughing, sneezing. It just was a great flying experience. And so shout out to Southwest Airlines for taking care of those airplanes. And they were spotless, clean as could be. But of course, we all got on and wipe things, and I wipe stuff so much that really I want to go into the housekeeping business when this is all said and done. I really do. I really, really do. So, all right, let's see. We have some more comments here. Let me see. I know my intuition is telling me, Joe, you need to watch Chat's show tonight. Oh, Joseph, we're so glad that this show helped you tonight. We really are. God bless you, brother, and continue to keep watching the show. Do me a favor, everybody, share my show. Free, easy, great advice, great information, professionals. These are not paid actors or actresses. These are people who this is their line of work. So please go to YouTube, subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show, Facebook, The Real Chat Daddy Show. And tomorrow night, we have legendary actress and producer Anne Marie Johnson joining us, as well as we'll hear the wonderful story of a famed news anchor who had a stroke while she was on air. We'll talk about that. All right, Dr. Ansel Johnson, do that shameless plug about your Vision Salon place. See how I said it like that, so it's not a paid commercial? You do the plug.
Okay. Well, we want everyone to be well, see well, be blessed. We've been focusing on excellence in eye care since 1990. So if you are interested in diabetes education, just getting glasses or contacts, and learning the connection between your eyes and your entire health, give our office a call at 708-385-0013, 708-385-0013, or you can request an appointment on our website at www.visionsalon.com.
All right. Well, on behalf of our guest tonight, Dr. James Thompson, we really do appreciate him so very much. A lot of just valuable information. My amazing co-host, Dr. Ansel T. Johnson. Glad to be back with you guys. Looking forward to tomorrow night and Wednesday night. May you all get all of your Thanksgiving holiday shopping done. We want to remind everybody, get that mask out, doctor, so we can remind them again. We are in the middle of a global pandemic, so we want to remind everyone to please wear your mask. Put that mask on, baby. Put it on. Put it on. Make sure you cover your nose and your mouth. That's right. We want to remind everyone to please sanitize. Sanitize. Soap and water is the best thing you can use. If you happen to not have soap and water, we ask that you please get some hand sanitizer and just put that baby all on there and rub them phalanges real good. Make sure you clean under them fingernails. Notice I said phalanges. Notice that, Doc? I might be able to go to medical school now.
I thought we were supposed to keep it simple, Chad.
That's all right. I'm being elegant tonight. I feel like a doctor. Are you kidding me? I just talked to two black brothers that are MDs. You don't think I'm trying to be on you all's level? So make sure you sanitize, clean your hands. Social distance. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate you. Yes. Social distance. That means 6 feet. Y'all know what to do. We black folks, get up off of me. You know, back up. White folks, you can do it too. Back up, get off of me. Yep, move, get off of me. That type of thing. And number one, if you're not feeling well, keep your ass at home. Don't go out. Stay in the house. Call your job. Guess what? Tell them you ain't feeling well. They'll tell you to keep your ass at home. I promise you that. I promise you that. And if you are going to go out, make sure you get COVID tested. Make sure you know your status. And just because you want grandma's macaroni and cheese, do not take her to Rona as an exchange gift. I saw a party over the weekend here in Chicago, a bunch of young people hanging out. Not a good idea. That's the number one spreader. It is.
Yeah, people spread it.
All right. Can I get off my soapbox now, Doc?
No, you can stay on it.
No, I gotta go. I gotta go. First day back from vacation. I'm being a wanker now. I gotta go. I gotta go. I do. On behalf of Dr. Ansel T. Johnson and Dr. Thomas, who was with us earlier this evening, we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Doc, say goodnight to everybody.
Everybody,
All right.
we are be blessed.
Very good. That was a great way of saying that. We're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.